Welcome, I'm Jackie B, and this is Radical Becoming. Today we will be talking about the quality of empowerment. What is empowerment and what does yoga have to do with it? Let's talk about it. Wherever you are, let's just come into this moment, this time of reflection. If you can, close your eyes. If not, no problem. Just take a few deep breaths. As you inhale, expand your heart, soften your shoulders, relax your face. As you exhale, find a nice foundation, sink into your seat wherever you are. Let go of any areas of tension that you feel. Let your breath simultaneously enliven and calm your body, your mind, your heart. This is how I like to think of inner peace, enlivened and calm. Where you have focus but pause. Let go of whatever you were doing before this discussion and try not to think about whatever you have to do after. Try your best to be present and let the ideas permeate through you, and as your own thoughts, questions, anecdotes, stories come up, please share them with me either in the comments below or send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. What is empowerment? Empowerment is the embodiment of autonomy. It is showing up whole and unapologetic. It's shifting from conformity to authenticity. It's speaking up and taking action and taking up space. It's healing yourself as an act of service. It's taking accountability. It's seeing with clarity and honesty and acting with integrity. Empowerment dissolves codependency, resentment, any kind of power struggle. Because empowered people stop outsourcing their worth or demanding that others regulate their emotions. So relationships improve when people are empowered. Connections strengthen. Love becomes freer. Friendships become deeper. Community becomes more resilient. Empowerment feels like expansion in the body. Breath flows easily, posture naturally opens. Your energy becomes magnetic. Not because you try to shine, but because you're aligned with your essence. You feel both strong and soft, capable, confident, compassionate. Empowerment is sovereignty, liberation, freedom. Why are we lacking empowerment? Unfortunately, the world we live in continuously steals us from ourselves. So trying to live from our own inner power is working against great forces. From the time that we are children, our authenticity is being hijacked. We're told to sit still, be quiet, follow the rules. Really teaching us from a very young age that our bodies and our needs aren't ours to honor, but someone else's to control, right? And that conditioning carried through into our jobs, our careers, hustle culture and the glorification of burnout. It's this constant push to silence our own inner signals in the service of something external. And some of us have even carried the weight of trauma, which pulls us even further away from trust in ourselves. This is how we lose touch with our own power, with our own authority. When life convinces us that authority is always outside of us, we forget to listen inward. We forget our own rhythm. What does yoga have to do with empowerment? Your power is never gone. It only becomes obscured, hidden. The practice of yoga and the breath at the heart of it can bring us back. It's the most direct path back to yourself. In this way, breath is rebellion. The world wants to steal your breath, make it shallow, rushed, tightened by stress, and shortened by anxiety. We're constantly kept in fight or flight to keep you looking outside of yourself for safety, for permission, for direction, for worthiness. When you reclaim your breath, when you slow it, when you deepen it, you interrupt that pattern and make space to reclaim your power, to reclaim your authority. Ancient yogis even said that life isn't measured by the number of years, but by the number of breaths. So the slower, steadier, and deeper you breathe, the more fully you live. It definitely has nothing to do with how useful you are to the economy. The breath is the home of empowerment. We begin here in yoga with the breath. So when the world disconnects us from our own power, we can reconnect with it within ourselves by cleansing away the layers of modern life that have obscured our authority and access our primal selves through breathwork and meditation. When the world trains us to externalize our guidance, we can get on the mat and methodically overwrite this habit by practicing turning inward, sitting with presence, and intentionally aligning our bodies with our mind, our movements with our values, and build unshakable foundations. When life erodes our trust in our own authority, we can find this safety on our mats that we need to practice surrendering to ourselves and allowing ourselves to move with ease and without hesitation, remembering the flow of our own personal rhythm. And when the world discourages or even punishes our expression of our autonomy, our authenticity, our sovereignty, we get on the mat and we build the power that allows us to rise above oppressors and shine light into darkness. This is how yoga empowers. Let's look into each of those practices more closely. Pranayama and meditation for reconnecting with yourself. We are taught to forget that we have our own power, our own autonomy, sovereignty. From the time we're children, we're taught to be quiet, to follow the rules, to do as someone else says. Now, some of this is done to keep us safe, but we can't even go to the bathroom at school without permission from an adult. We can't eat outside of designated times and places. In the learning curriculum, we're taught not to think critically, but rather to think in systemized processes and come to shared conclusions. So we're taught not to listen to our bodies or ride our creativity, not to fantasize or excite, but to look outside of us at schedules, at things adults give rewards and trophies and recognition for. We're taught to look for authorities who grant permission. And this carries through to adulthood. We reach for coffee to honor hustle culture over our own body's needs for rest. Our awareness is constantly flooded with 24-hour news cycles, advertising triggers, or propagandist alarms. We're sent into fight or flight so regularly that it becomes our baseline. There's always a threat, always something you're lacking, and always a promise to address it. They'll protect you. They'll solve it for you. They'll make you feel better. They'll fix your life. You're always falling short. Just give away your money, your energy, your attention, your authenticity. And when we give all that away, we have less resources for ourselves, to nurture ourselves, to express ourselves, to move through the world with intentionality, to rightfully exist wholly. It's stolen from us so often that it's likely you don't even remember what being empowered feels like. Where does it even reside? Where do you feel it? Where does it emanate? What are the behaviors of an empowered person? Where am I relinquishing my power? The roots of empowerment are breath. When we are empowered, we sit tall, our heart is open, our core is strong and supportive, and here, our breath can move with freedom. Our inhale is deep and expansive and nurturing. It's refreshing, enlivening. Our exhale is releasing, settling, surrender. It's accepting. It's complete. We're present. The world finds ways to make us smaller, to shrink our stance, to shorten our breath, to keep us reaching outward. But we can reclaim our power by reclaiming our breath. Pranayama and meditation do this. In the class I created on my YouTube channel for empowerment, I begin the reconnection by guiding you through Bhastrika Pranayama to connect with and strengthen the integrity of your breath. When you are estranged from your breath, this technique will build that awareness, and quickly. From Bhastrika, bellows breath, we then move into Bharami, bee breath, which brings your focus inward. For me, it feels like it gives the breath a resonance that is felt long after the technique is finished, so I can really keep my focus there, my focus inward. And this sets us up perfectly for Shamatha Vipassana meditation, where we rest our complete awareness on our breath. We practice the habit of watching it, of honoring it above all distractions, and start to create that pattern, the habit of presence. We elevate the breath's influence. A strong breath connection will remind you that you have power, that you are sovereign, and that you can stand on your own. And that is how yoga empowers. When you listen to your breath, you remember that you are whole. So get on the mat and practice turning inward. Elevate yourself as the authority in your life. And remember the freedom and the elation of intrinsic motivation. All you have to do is breathe. Hatha flow for alignment. Hatha for foundations. The foundation of empowerment is the breath, and the home of the breath is the core. To build the quality of empowerment, to strengthen the foundation of our own authority, to stand confidently in our autonomy, we start here, at the core, in the service of the breath. We often think of the core very aesthetically, willing it to be ever flatter. But let's go beyond that. Real strength comes not from a tight, static six-pack, but from a container of integrity, 360 degrees around the body, sealed at the top by the diaphragm and the bottom by the pelvic floor. And this whole container expands with integrity on every inhale and draws together on every exhale. Life can constrain the breath to a very small place. We are often breathing into our chest or into our shoulders, leaving our core completely out of it. But our core wants to be part of the breath. We need to remember our diaphragm as the engine of our breath and allow the current of breath to undulate at will. And when we do, we bring integrity to the whole body. Awareness on your core as you breathe through yoga asana establishes a stability through every movement, every pause. When you have a strong foundation, your mind relaxes. A new calm is available. There's more space in your heart. The class I'm offering on my YouTube channel to help build the foundation of breath is a mindful hatha flow that helps build stability in the foundation of your breath, your core. By practicing a strong breath in a pose like plank or triangle, the whole body and mind find stability, and it builds the awareness of your own power. Strong muscles are one thing, but integrity will take your abilities, your power to new limits. It will expand your edges beyond your current understanding and open new possibilities. And when you settle into this knowing of your capability, you can shed so much excess that you were holding out of fear or uncertainty about yourself because you know you have enough. You are set. You are ready to conquer what is next. In my class, you'll experience this in a peak pose of headstand, and you'll be pleased with the stability you have in your body and your mind, even upside down, because you've strengthened your trust in your integrity and honored it as your foundation. When we get into the habit of running away from discomfort, whether physically or mentally, by checking out when we're faced with challenge, we will never truly learn what we are capable of. We won't ever observe our own power. So on the mat, we can mindfully stay present through challenge and observe the strength of our body, of our breath, and learn how to maintain our integrity as well as our peace. And then we can really believe in our own power because we've witnessed it on the mat. That's how yoga empowers. Breath is the king of the mind. BKS Iyengar said that. We build the core to strengthen our breath, to calm the mind, to center the heart. With this foundation, you will always trust your path, knowing each step is rooted in integrity. Practicing surrender in a slow flow. Empowerment means that you trust your own authority, and building that trust involves a certain amount of surrender. Surrendering your impulses to act in a habitual or a learned way, a way that may serve an external authority and deny your own. Empowerment is reframing your motivations from imparted shoulds to intrinsic guides. The yoga mat is a safe place to play with this reframing. We can test what it feels like to let go and choose and move on our own rhythm and learn a new cadence and overwrite ideas that no longer serve us. To do this, we follow our breath. We let it guide our movements. We let it dictate our pace. We let it ground our mind and center our heart. Breath is a direct link to our internal signals. A short, hurried breath indicates we need to slow down, regulate our movements, become more intentional. And a lazy breath lacking integrity indicates we need presence, focus, tapas. When your breath flows with ease, your body flows with ease. And your mind flows with ease. Your heart flows with ease. On the mat, we practice freeing the breath and nurturing it by adjusting our behavior to keep it free. So let your breath be the rhythm of your peace, an ever-present flow of calm. All yoga, breathwork, meditation is an opportunity to practice surrendering to your own power. But in the empowerment class that I'm offering on my YouTube channel that really focuses on this skill is a slow flow class that incorporates rhythmic asanas that flow with breathwork, that steady the mind. We use an extended exhale breath practice to anchor to our own power, to practice staying calm and present with our inner guides, even while experiencing challenging poses and movements. We teach our minds to trust our inner knowing by letting it be the guide on the mat. We learn to make looking inward for direction a safe habit. And that learning comes off the mat with us. And that is how yoga empowers. When you own your breath, no one can steal your peace. Honor your breath, and you will experience a new autonomy, a new sovereignty, an easeful flow of strength through life, empowerment. Vinyasa for embodiment. Yoga can be such a personal practice, and it can be very easy to keep the power that you cultivate hidden. But there's an incredibly important side of yoga that is the practice of sangha, community, of seva, of selfless service, and of dharma, purpose. It's taking what we build on the mat outside of ourselves. We do everything we do on the mat so that we may heal ourselves to the point that when we finish the day, we have excess love, excess energy, excess purpose. As yogis, we let that abundance ripple outward. As your practice matures, getting on your mat becomes an act of service. So you build your inner power on the mat, and you restore your personal authority, your autonomy. Then you turn and offer it to the world. Not to serve ego by receiving praise or award or sharing some beautiful pose you've accomplished on social media, but rather to do the work that's in front of you, to realize your dharma, to insist that your experience, personal and observed, is reflected in the ways the world manifests. And so your abundance nurtures the world around you. With greater inner power, we strengthen our ability to lift others, to raise unheard voices and elevate them over loud, well-funded messages. When we know our power, conflict does not trigger fear, but rather diligence, discipline, focus. When we know our power, we're no longer looking outwardly for someone to save us, but rather we allow our path to be directed toward those that we can help, that we can offer a hand. When we're secure in our own power, we stop competing. And in that peace, we can stop putting on an armored facade. We can be vulnerable because we know it won't break us. And in vulnerability, we can see each other honestly, and we can blossom greater empathy, greater compassion. We can open freely and realize that we are greater than the sum of our parts, and that we must cooperate together, help each other, organize, rise together. A strong breath feeds your endurance, regulates your ego by protecting your edges, and revives you in rest. Your breath brings fuel to your power. A strong breath supports a strong stance. A strong breath refreshes your awareness. A strong breath clarifies your mind. A strong breath nurtures your heart. Breath stokes the fire of your being. Every time you take charge of your breath, you take charge of your life. So get on the mat, practice changing the world by changing your world. By stoking your fire with your breath and extending your edges. Claim your sovereignty so that you can turn outward and serve from your experience, uncorrupted by nefarious players or reflexive habits. I'm offering a free vinyasa flow on my YouTube channel to embody your inner power. A vinyasa flow is the perfect practice to embody your inner power and radiate it outward. To show up and remain present by protecting your peace, by regulating your breath through challenge, discomfort, monotony. You breathe to return to your center. You breathe to ground. You breathe to sustain. You breathe to ignite. It's all under your control. And then you step off the mat, whole, open eyes, open arms, You offer your abundance. That is how yoga empowers. Empowerment is the embodied knowing. I am free to choose. I am free to create. I am enough as I am. Empowerment feels like ease. It's devoid of fear, meekness, as well as ego. It's humble. It feels like trusting yourself. It feels like acting with authenticity without waiting for permission first. It's showing up whole and taking accountability, embracing growth and honesty, embodying loving kindness, believing in the importance of your voice, and stepping up to do the work you find in front of you. Empowerment is living in the now. You reside peacefully in the present because you have processed your past, you've learned lessons, you appreciate where you come from, and you have gratitude for it bringing you to where you are now. And you have gently illuminated your darkest shadows. And you're not afraid of what's to come either. You know whatever you encounter in the future, you can handle. Because you know your capabilities, you know where you can serve, you know where you can't. You believe in yourself and your community's ability to persevere. Now is the only place to be. Empowerment is this confidence that frees you from fear. The fear of taking big leaps in life. The fear of vulnerability that keeps you from deep connection. The fear of stillness, of solitude, of change. It's liberation. Why does the world need empowered masses? Empowerment has a domino effect. When we show up whole and with our own authority, others, especially those who see themselves reflected in us in some way, believe they can be empowered too. And when we as masses are freed from constant fear, systems built on fear lose control. Leadership becomes service, not domination. Honesty, integrity, humility become revered traits, and manipulation is transparent. Motivations shift from defense and control to trust and compassion and equity. We recognize on macro and micro levels that we are greater than the sum of our parts. Empowerment doesn't make people hard. It softens the ego and strengthens the heart. An empowered mass is more empathetic, more collaborative, less threatened by differences, more committed to collective well-being. People who trust their own worth don't need to belittle or harm or control others. When people feel powerful, they stop hiding and start expressing. So a collectively empowered society is one where art flourishes, where ideas are abundant, solutions arise from intuition and imagination. Creativity becomes a form of liberation. Risk-taking is celebrated, not punished. And innovation grows from self-trust. Why does the world need us to be empowered? Empowerment spreads horizontally, not vertically. This transforms global culture into one where leadership is shared, where communities govern themselves more effectively. Diverse voices shape the future. Expertise is valued but not idolized. And decision-making becomes more inclusive. Empowerment shifts humanity from hierarchy to interdependence. Ultimately, an empowered collective is a spiritually awakened collective, grounded, luminous, and oriented toward purpose. Empowerment is not personal gain. It's a collective awakening that ripples outward, altering everything that it touches. The empowered mass doesn't destroy the old world. It outgrows it. Empowered people don't overthrow systems with violence. They make oppressive systems irrelevant by refusing to be fuel for them. Empowered individuals don't accept that's just the way things are. They question, imagine, and create alternatives. Empowered individuals in society lead to movements for justice rooted in dignity, not despair. They lead to workplaces restructured around humanity instead of extraction. They hold governments accountable. Oppressive norms are dismantled. Economic and environmental shifts are driven by collective agency. That is how yoga empowers. Get on your mat and change your world, and you will change the world. You can find a link below to my free yoga offerings on my YouTube channel. But if my classes don't resonate with you, please try another teacher, try another style, try another lineage, because there is one out there that is for you, that will support you where you are at. Let's take a collective breath together. Arms by your sides, palm face up. Inhale, power. Exhale, peace. Inhale for Om. Let's dedicate our efforts. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. And may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way to that happiness and to that freedom for all. Thank you for practicing yoga. Be well.